Hello, thank you for attending. This is Si Wing Yi from the Yi Real Estate Network. And today's presentation, I'm going to go over the Central Florida investment opportunities. And my special guest is Mr. Tom Weclew from Realty Medics, a property management company in Central Florida. And so the topic today will be, again, we talk about the update. We can talk about Tom Weclew and his property management company. He covers many different areas in Florida. So I'm going to ask him to introduce himself momentarily. I'm going to ask him several questions. The high-level questions are, what's been happening with the Central Florida investment turnkey market, and then he's going to talk about what's happening in Central Florida moving forward into the future, and how out-of-state investors can benefit from investing in this area. And finally, we have another value-add opportunity. So he has some resale homes available in Central Florida, which is very, very enticing that our investors can take advantage of. So great content. So without further ado, thank you for your time, Mr. Tom Weclew from Realty Medics in Central Florida. How are you, Tom?
Hey, Steven, good to see you. Thank you. Doing well.
Yeah, same here. Tom, just so you know, before Tom introduced himself, he's been our property management for Central Florida for I don't know how long, like 15 years. I lost count.
2008.
Yeah, amazing, right? Ever since the downturn, yeah. So I lost count. I don't know, 100 of my members for my investment club here in Northern California has been investing in Central Florida, and Tom's property management company have been managing all the rental properties for the longest time. So that's very reassuring. You know how scary it is to buy out-of-state turnkey remote properties, and Tom and his company has made a lot of money for our investors over the long term in the past 15 years or so. It will continue to help our investors to buy resale properties in his market for the foreseeable future. So without further ado, Tom, take it away. Tell me briefly about your company. What is your investment philosophy? What's going on with the rental market? I've been hearing the rental market is tremendous because of the pandemic. Post-pandemic crisis has created some amazing opportunity for real estate investors. And furthermore, I've been hearing that I hate to steal your thunder, but I've been hearing that the rental market is having the strongest ever all over the country, really. As a matter of fact, Tom, I promote other markets as well in other areas of Florida and in Texas and in North Carolina and even in Alabama. I've been hearing because of the epic migration of people moving into the affordable markets, and the homes are being so unaffordable. There are so many renters. There are bidding war by renters. I mean, some of the recent closings that we have with our markets in Florida, Texas, and North Carolina, there are like 100 rental inquiries per closing of our investor per house. And then at the end of the day, there are about 20 to 30 rental applications of qualified buyers fighting to rent one house that our investors has closed. Tom, I want you to hold your thought. Don't go with the details yet. I'm sure it's happening in your area as well. So this is very exciting. So without further ado, Tom, briefly describe your company, Realty Medics. What is your investment philosophy? What areas you cover in Central Florida? I know you have a wide net, and your operation, your system, and all that. So go ahead, take it away, Tom.
Sure. Thank you, Steven. So we're based in Orlando, Florida. We are a full service real estate brokerage. So we help people buy houses and then rehab them if necessary, and then manage them. But our main focus, of course, has been property management for all those years. But we are capable of doing all those services. Our reach from Orlando, we go all the way north to we're getting close to Gainesville, but right now we're in Ocala, north. We're in Daytona to the east, Palm Bay, Melbourne by the Space Coast on the east side. We go to Tampa on the west coast, all along the I-4 corridor. So Poinciana, Kissimmee, Lakeland. So pretty much, over 100 something mile radius from Orlando. And it's getting wider as we go, and I'll explain why in just a second. But so we got about 30 staff. So we're a pretty big company. We manage over 1,300 houses. So we're doing very well. One of the reasons why we've been able to grow over the years, assuming you know, there's a lot of property management companies. There are only about 200 to 300 properties or so. And there's a reason why they can only get so big. And we figured it out. And we know that it's because most management companies will have one person. They'll be responsible for, say, 75 houses or 100 houses. And they got to do the leasing, the marketing, handle the maintenance calls and everything. And they're responsible for that small amount of properties. We found at the very early on that doesn't work. If that person gets sick or they need to go away for a few days, who's going to handle those accounts? And it ends up being very difficult for that person to be an expert in leasing, marketing, maintenance, all of those things combined. So my business partner, Ben Sensenbaugh, he came from the world of NASA. He worked on the space shuttle years ago, and then he worked for Siemens for almost a decade. And when we got together, we discussed a software that we could build our own. It's our own software. We don't pay for it. We built it from the scratch, and it allows us to have a full leasing team, a full marketing team, a full group of account managers, and they're all working in the back end. So as the client, you have your person that is your account manager or your account liaison, and they are your contact. But in the background, where everyone is talking to each other all the time. So when it's time to rent the property, we literally have a leasing team. That's all they do all day is lease the properties, get them rented to the most qualified people as fast as possible. And then they click a button and they say, okay, this one's got rented. And that goes over now to the property account manager or the account liaison. And then they know it's rented, and everything is done on the back end from the software. It's pretty amazing. I could probably sell it for 20 million bucks if somebody came to me. So we don't do anything. We have more on the back end where everything is, done where the investor doesn't know that that it's all being taken care of by experts in their specialty. So the marketing is done by the specialty. The maintenance is handled just by maintenance people. When a request comes in from a renter that there's something broken with the house, they click their button and then it goes right to the maintenance team and the account liaison, and then they know everything is going on. So no one's out of the loop. And this has tremendously reduced the mistakes to less than 1% or even smaller than that, than companies that still do things today with paper and pencil and managing 75 houses per person. We have killed that problem, and it's allowed us to continue to grow. I have to hire people who are qualified, good customer service people, and they follow along with the software. And it's definitely eliminated the mistakes and allowed us to become very successful at what we do. We have less than 1/100th of an eviction rate because of it. Everything is very smooth because of our software that we built. So that's the big feature of our company that kind of keeps us afloat, is this proprietary software that we have built. So as I mentioned, we're a pretty big circle around Central Florida that we have grown to, but we're going even further. We'll end up in Jacksonville and Gainesville over the next year or so, and mostly just because we have clients who are asking us to go there because they have managers in those areas that aren't doing a good job and they want us to manage. So we've explored some of these other areas because there's quite a few properties that we can take over in those areas. So that's a little bit about how we kind of operate. Every investor has their person that they can rely on, that they can contact. They don't get lost in the shuffle. But in the back end, we have all these departments that are making sure everything gets done and it's all logged in the system. So it's very, very efficient that way.
Yeah, Tom is great. They are, you guys are all tops. You guys are cutting edge. You guys provide great client service. I have not run into any property management company that do the way you guys are doing, very efficient. So furthermore, what I hear you saying is that if our out-of-state investors, whether they buy one rental property through you, where you are managing, or 5 or even 10, you rest assured that over the long run, it will become an autopilot for them, for the investor. What I mean by that autopilot, because I assume that the way they out-of-state investors track their property through you, through your system, they use they have an online portal, a real-time online portal where our investor can on a computer can click on their portal and will see on a monthly basis what the activity has transpired, the rent with the received through the investor's checking account, any kind of maintenance or upkeep that needs to be resolved. They get a real-time update from your team, from your staff. So everything is like very done remotely, efficiently, technology, everything else. Therefore, out-of-state investors, whether they own 5, 10, 15, 20 properties in Central Florida, which your team is managing, they still do this part-time. I mean, they don't need to sweat. They don't need to be labor intensive, because the way you built the system, make it very easy autopilot for our investors for the longest time, whether they invest, they keep the property long-term like they should, 5, 10, 15, 20 years and beyond their lifetime. Your company will handle their lifetime of maintaining their property, so our investors can achieve their financial dream, their retirement, and then beyond in the next generation to pass on the property to their children, and your company can be around even to the next generation to continue to manage the property.
Right. Well, yeah, and you asked about my strategy personally, right? And that's kind of how the company was built. Was, why did I get involved with this to begin with? And it was mostly for the same reasons why you promote your education to your clients. Is I'm not going to have a pension from anywhere. I'm not going to have a retirement income coming from anywhere other than anything that I build myself. And I found for me, real estate was very easy. I understood the math. I understood what to expect. Where in the stock market, if I put a bunch of money in there tomorrow, it can be down 50%, just like that. But with the single family houses in particular, which is different than the multifamily, but the single family houses in particular, even when the economy takes a dip, they go down in value, maybe, but you're still collecting rent. So I'm still earning an income as I grow older, and I have, so I was trained, I was told by my parents, how much money do you want every month coming in when you retire? And at the time I was younger, I don't know, I want 20,000 a month coming in every month. That's what I need. And they were like, okay, well, that's about 15 houses. You need to have 15 houses paid off and you can have that. And I was like, wow, okay, that doesn't seem completely out of the loop to get. I mean, it was just, you just buy them one at a time, and you're paying off a 30-year mortgage in about 15 years by reinvesting that monthly cash flow back into the property. You can pay off a note, in half the time or so. And that's kind of how I got into the industry. And I realized, okay, this makes sense. And then friends started saying, I want to do that. And then we just kept growing from there and meeting people like you, Siwing, who had your same friends and clients who were looking for the similar type of investment opportunities. And what I like about single family in particular, as opposed to multifamily, and this is just my opinion, single family will always, it has proven to appreciate past the value of a rental. So you buy it for 200,000 today, and in 15 years, it might be worth 350, right? But that property at 350,000 might not necessarily be a great rental anymore because it's worth more than the rents are coming in. Or you can take the equity out that you have in that and go buy another house. Where on a multifamily property, from my experience, the value only goes up based upon the rental income. So it's only going to go up in value the more rent you get. So it doesn't ever go higher than what the rents are. Where in a single family, I've been pulling out of money properties for years that the houses go up in value, and I go, wow, I got to look at all this equity. I can take out 50, 100 grand and go buy 2 more houses because I've earned this equity. And then, yeah, I have a higher mortgage, but I'm young enough to offset that and to still pay it off by the time I get to a retirement age. But now, instead of having just that one, I've been able to buy 3 more by using that equity from that first property. So that's kind of how I got into the business, knowing that this was easy. It was easy math. It wasn't very complicated to understand. And I understood that if I could have someone doing the work for me and I didn't have to worry about it, and all I had to do is just approve anytime there was a maintenance request or anything. If we don't do any, by the way, we don't do any repairs on a property without you knowing. So it's not like you get a bill at the end of the month and they charged me $800 for a new sink or something. It doesn't work that way. Everything is always approved by the homeowner anytime there's an issue. But just like your stockbrokers doing things in the background and growing your income, we're like the same thing for homes. We're doing everything on the back end so you don't have to worry about it until there's an issue, if there's one, and then we would communicate with you on how to solve those type of things. But overall, I have found that it's a very rewarding way of earning more income and being ready for retirement age in the next 20 years or so. And just like you pitched to everyone already, seeming buy a house, pay it off, and it becomes worth income, and they should have a bunch of them. There's no reason not to, and whether you keep it for 15 years or not, I personally plan on keeping mine forever, unless it's a house that's getting really, really old and it's gone up in a lot of value, which that happens. You can sell that house and buy 3 new ones somewhere else that might do better. So that's things that we educate our clients on. We're constantly going through your properties every year before the rental is due. So about 5 months before it's time to renew a lease, I personally, along with my sales team, we go through your property and say, okay, he or she bought it for this. It's now worth about this. If they were to consider selling this property, they could buy 2 new ones over here and make more income, or maybe this is still the best fit. So we're always helping our clients determine whether or not they're in the best property or not, or has that neighborhood changed in a manner that it makes sense to sell it or buy another one in the neighborhood. These are the things that we're doing. We're like advisors. We're not just managing the houses and collecting rents. We're so much more than that because of the education that I've learned over the years of doing it for myself. So
absolutely, Tom, you don't have to say it, Tom. I mean, your track record is impeccable over the years. And like I said, hundreds of my investors who bought in Central Florida have used you as a property management, and they're very, very happy with you. So with that said, one thing our investors need to know is that not only you guys are on a great property management operation, but you, because your company is so efficient, you are able to allocate some of your time to do the resale homes in the Central Florida market. What that means is our investors are able to work with you to find cash flow properties in the best areas in Central Florida, and that's what you do. So I'm very excited to hear that part of your operation. So tell us what kind of homes can you deliver to our investors as we speak right now?
Sure. I mean, so the market has changed a little bit over the last couple of years. I mean, as you've probably heard in the news, everyone's bidding 20,000 over asking price, and bidding wars going on for these resale houses, and it's getting really expensive. And that was the case for quite a bit of time. But now we're starting to see that the only houses that seem to have the bidding wars are the ones that are loaded with upgrades and are in perfect condition. Because what we're finding is the primary home buyers, for the most part, they can afford a $250,000, $350,000 house, but they don't have any cash. So they can't fix up the house once they buy it. So they're buying the ones first that are fully loaded with all the granite and the nice kitchens and the nice floors, because they don't have to spend any money when they buy it. They can finance the whole thing in one big mortgage.
Right.
So now, because of that, we're starting to see homes sit on the market a little longer, 30, 40 days, that are not in perfect condition, that may not have as many upgrades, but they're still in A+ neighborhoods, A, B neighborhoods, quality school districts. These houses did not exist 6 months, 8 months ago because they were being bought up so quickly. But now, because more inventory is kind of creeping up a little bit, but we're noticing that people want the houses that are fully upgraded. And we're able to now go into these houses and say, okay, it's been on the market 40 days. Maybe we can offer a little bit less. And factor in that it needs new paint, it might need new flooring, it might need a granite kitchen. Any of these upgrades that we know for certain will help the house rent fastest and stay the longest. Because we have definitely proven now over the years that the houses that are fully loaded with upgrades, the renters stay longer. They don't want to move out because they already have a house full of upgrades. Where in houses that aren't fully upgraded necessarily, unless they're brand new and they don't have upgrades, but typically the older houses that don't have any upgrades, they'll move out of those and find something that has more upgrades. So what I've been pitching to the clients, let's go find a resale in a really good neighborhood with a good school district, which didn't exist a few months ago. Offer a little bit less, but knowing that the investor is going to have to spend 15, 20 grand maybe. But I'm just using round numbers. That could be less. It just depends on the house. And upgrade that house to have the nice kitchen, the nice flooring, a brand new paint job. And now all of a sudden they've got an A house, a beautiful neighbor, good school district, which we can get high rents for because there's no one else in the neighborhood that has a rental in there because everyone else in there is a primary home buyer. And there's always a desire to be in a neighborhood for a rental, but they just don't exist, because there's not a lot of them that ever come up for rent. So that's what we've been pitching lately. And we do all the rehabs for the investors. We can give line by line, item by item estimate during the inspection period. So the investor knows during his due diligence period, if this still makes sense to move forward with the deal. So.
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, one-stop shop. That's what we expect from you guys. Can you provide some cash flow analysis on a typical property in a resale market? In what city, in what area? What's the potential purchase price? What is the gross monthly rent? But when I hear that, then in my mind, I calculate right away when I hear that. When I hear the gross monthly rent, when I hear the purchase price, then I would do my calculation in my head quickly, like 20% down, going to single family home, giving the great interest rate, and all that, giving the monthly taxes, insurance, what are the positive monthly cash flows. So go ahead. What are some of the typical deals?
It just honestly, Seawing, it depends on the area, but I mean the average price to be in a really good neighborhood now is going to be pushing around $300,000, but the rents are much higher. They're in that 2,200 range or really higher. It just depends on the upgrades that the house has, and a lot of that comes into play. But any property that we suggest always comes with a cash flow sheet. And an estimate of what it would cost to get it into the condition just from looking at the pictures, and we can get an estimate of what it's going to take to bring it to that. We provide that every time. So
Joe, just some of my investors, they numbers are not their forte. So let me quickly just hearing what you have to say. For a $300,000 property that you're promoting resale to our investors, that rents for $2,200-$2,300. My calculation are as follows: at 20% down payment, then with giving the mortgage interest rate around 3.5, 3.6%, and then the property tax rate is typically 1% of the purchase price, and the insurance $50 to $75, and then maybe with 5% vacancy factor, then
not even 5% vacancy is too high. Because we're renting them within, and most of our average tenant stays 3.5 years. So our vacancy rate is almost like 1.5%. But sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Good to hear. Great news to hear. So at the end of the day, giving $300,000 resale home, all fixed up. Obviously the investor have to put in additional money out of pocket to fix the property, 10, 20 grand, typically, and with the 20% down payment. 22 to 2,300 monthly rent. So the monthly net cash flow on 20% down payment, my estimation would be around $350, maybe even $400 monthly net cash flow. So that will equal to like 6% capitalization rate, cash on cash return at least 10%, maybe with a 5% annual projection or appreciation rate. We don't know the future. But if you calculate all that, the total return on investment, it could be, double digit, 20, 30%, even more. Cap rate 6%, cash on cash return at least 10%. Hey, those are good numbers. That's what is the expectation for investors. So very good news. So what other product? I mean, that property are typically located in what area, what neighborhood, what city?
We're finding them in all throughout Central Florida. So we're starting with the A neighborhoods, the ones with the best school districts, and the B neighborhoods. Those are the ones that we want to promote because those tenants tend to stay the longest and they have the highest income and are the most qualified. Yeah. So, but those are everywhere that I mentioned, that 100-something mile radius, we can find houses like that. So we just, as we find them, we research them first before we present it, right? We're not just going on the multiple listing service and sending 20 houses and saying, pick from one of these. We're going through making sure that it is still available for sale. taking a look at the upgrades that it currently has, doing the calculations, and then sending it out. I mean, obviously, we do urge that investors make a decision quickly, because they will sell eventually. But if they've been on the market 30 something days or 40 days, the likelihood of it selling, within 24 hours, like the other houses are that are fully loaded the first day on the market, it's a lot slimmer. So we have more time to take our time to really to look at it and decide if we want to make a lower offer. I mean, I check to see how old the roof is. I can pull it up on the permit. How old is the roof? I can see all this information ahead of time, so we can determine, okay, does this make sense? But the difference is, these are houses that are in neighborhoods that have already existed for a long time and are very established areas. Where these are not new construction that are off in the corners far away, that are new. These are the ones that are popping up in the neighborhoods that hardly ever have rentals, because most people who live there are primary home buyers. But the problem is that, again, the primary home buyers don't always have 20 grand or 15 grand to fix the property up. So that's why these houses are now sitting longer on the market, so it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, I'm sure you hear there are many people willing to rent, and they're willing to pay $2,200 to $2,300. So you should have no problem finding the tenant because of the strong rental market for the reasons that we discussed. So, okay, so if our investors want to work with you, so normally they go through me, right? I pre-screen them very heavily, because I don't want people to contact you from our network who are not qualified. Usually, not all the time, but usually my member, they come to me, I'll pre-qualify them. I have a phone consultation with them, do a mentoring, do guidance. I'm very, very, you may or may not know that, but over the years, I love mentoring. I love consultation and hold our investors' hand, because I care about each and every investor for my network. So I'm very hands-on, very high-touch, relationship-based. That's what I do. I love working with my investors. So when I send you, a buyer, rest assured that they're not going to waste your time for the most part. So I have your contact information, Tom, your email and your phone number. Of course, you can send me your cash flow worksheet, what opportunities available on a weekly basis. Then I will, look at them, and I will, talk to those buyers that are interested in buying in Central Florida, go through you. Other than that, but even when I send my investors to you, or some of my investors, they kind of bypass me, but you know where they coming from, right? I mean, you can ask them, where are you from? I say, oh, I'm from the Real Estate Network, and that's good too. As long as they are very savvy, some may not need that much of a guidance from me, which is fine, because they're very savvy. They know what they want. They trust the Central Florida market. Well, for whatever reason, they can pull the trigger rather quickly. So anything else you need to provide? I mean, of course, once they come to you, you work with them, you identify their goals and their criteria, what they want to buy, then.
Yeah, we always have to have a pre-approval letter on file for each person. We don't work with anyone that's not pre-approved, which I think you said you already checked that ahead of time.
Yep.
And then we can share with them our management services as well. My team can send out the email, with the line by line, item by item of all the services that we provide. And yeah, we'd love to be able to keep the relationship going over the years like we have. So, yeah.
Well, Tom, sounds great. I think we cover mostly everything. Time's up. I would love to talk more. We will have, periodic, maybe quarterly video podcast update. But meanwhile, let's do some business. Let me send you some great investors so you can buy some high quality properties through your sources. And you have any final quick recap?
No, I thank you, Steven, for the opportunity. I mean, a lot of your clients I know personally over the years, and looking forward to more of them. And just like you are very passionate about this, I'm very passionate about this as well. I enjoy this living, educating people on how to buy them. Just like I was very fortunate to someone teach me the same thing. It's not complicated. It's very simple for someone to do and learn. Even the younger investors who are just starting out, just get that first one. And once you've done it once, it becomes easier and easier. So Yeah.
Yep, totally agree. Thank you for your time, Mr. Tom Weclew from Realty Medics in Central Florida. Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to doing business with you and working with you to help our mutual investors. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening. Have a good day. I'll see you on the other side. Goodbye.